So when it comes to knives, I keep it pretty simple. Most folks know I typically prefer to use something in that stone realm. I use stone knives on a lot of my own personal adventures and kind of my own kind of exploration into the wilds, if you will. You know, steel provides its advantages. It's easier to use. It's going to last a lot longer. I've purchased knives in the past, and I think after a while, once you kind of understand the abilities of steel and how to work steel, just like I work stone, you ultimately kind of build the blade that's going to best suit you. I've worked with lots of machetes over the years, and what I did was essentially I took kind of my favorite style of machete and I shortened it to something that's a little bit more practical for my needs. One of the styles of machetes that I've come across and that I like to use is called a Bolo. Now, I call this a BOMA, which is a shortened Bolo Machete. Essentially, if you look at this machete, the entire machete's blade was to the end of my handle. It was just a lot of material to utilize. I still get all the same chopping. I still get a lot of my mass up in the front. I also have the flat portion. I call this the spoon. I can lay this on the ground. I can use this to catch coals on a hand drill or even a bow drill. I can still even do fine carving with it because I can choke up on that handle and give myself fine notches for fireboards, things of that extent. It does have a 90-degree spine. What I also like, it's got a little bend to it. And I've reduced my tip down so where it's not too sharp right here, where I can actually wrap a finger around it and I can use this to scrape wood, scrape fibers from that 90-degree spine. It gives me a little bit of a flex. Say I'm crafting a bow with my BOMA, it's going to be a lot easier over time to use this to shape that bow compared to a large 9, 10, 12-inch blade that's got a lot of mass behind it. This is chopping, and then if you know how to leverage a blade, you won't have any issue shaping that bow. More importantly, I can still wield it like a machete. Now this did require me to, locate a drill press, put a couple holes in there, copper nails that I essentially glued in there with some more JB Weld, and then a friend let me use a grinder and grind it all down. A simple handle, really using the function of the machete, but reducing it down so it's a little bit more practical to carry. It's easy to, wrap up in a patoo. It's easy to throw in any of my buckskin packs. Still have the chopping capability. I have scraping capability from that back spine and this flat edge right here. I can catch coals. I can do a lot of things with my spoon right here. And being that this side right here is a little bit rounded, I can even use it to pound fibers. I don't need the heaviness of the blade, but this is a rounded edge, and one thing I like about the original Bolo Machete is it did have that safe side. It did have that back side that was dull. For me, I like to be able to take my BOMA and ultimately tap on some fibers, crack open some shells. I still kind of have a lightweight hammering area on the back side of my spoon. I like to have more of a bag sheath so I can slide my machete in there like this, and I can also throw in a spindle for a hand drill, my hearth board. I can even drop some tinder in there, and this in itself is not like a knife kit, if you will. I'm not a big fan of knife kits, but I can throw other supplies in here and just grab this and go. I can put cordage. I can put, you know, obviously a hand drill kit. I can put some flint knapping tools. It's just a small little pouch that carries something more than just a knife. It still protects and still gives me some safety, but this is kind of the go-to sheath for it. When it comes to sharpening, it's real easy to sharpen. It does not require a lot of craziness. You don't have to carry sharpening stones. And I can sprinkle some sand on here. And if you've ever been to the jungles or you've ever been to the Amazon, one way that you can sharpen machete is on a rotten log with some sand on it, and you can use the fibers of the hide in conjunction with that blade, almost like a fine grit sandpaper, to really polish that edge up and put a good working edge on there. And you can see from some of the use that I've had, you know, over time, I've put little holes and little cuts and little scrapes in it. But this gives me the ability to ultimately sharpen my blade up. It kind of gives with every stroke, and it allows you to kind of just readdress that edge and put a new working edge on there. So bottom line, when it comes to the blades that you choose to use and why you choose to use them, everyone's going to have their specific preferences. For me, this is essentially that multi-tool. It's that Bolo modified machete. Bolo Machete, BOMA. All right, appreciate you guys watching. See you in the bush.